Ms. Gentles, thank you for being here today. I'm going to direct my questions to you for just a few moments. You mentioned earlier the Parents' Bill of Rights that likely is going to come through this committee this year. I want to read a statement to you and see if you would agree with this statement. The parental right to guide one's child intellectually and religiously is a most substantial part of the liberty and freedom of the parent. Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with that.
This statement, as you likely know, was made in a 1925 U.S. Supreme Court case by the name of Pierce versus Society of Sisters. It was a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court in 1925 to strike down the 1922 Oregon law that attempted to compel elementary school children to attend public schools to the exclusion of other choices. In doing so, the court, when it struck down this law, said that it, quote, unreasonably interferes with the liberty of parents and guardians to direct the upbringing and education of children under their control. Would you agree also with that determination and finding?
I would agree with that, and I believe that they also said that children were not mere creatures of the state, and I certainly agree with that.
That's right, and like you, I agree with these statements and agree with that precedent unanimously held by the Supreme Court almost 100 years ago. As a father of 4 school-age children, you mentioned you have 2 children. I have double that amount, but I've been in both gifted and talented meetings and also ARD meetings. I proudly serve my community by helping with an education foundation and helping to start one for our public school system, and I proudly send my kids to a public school system, the same one that I graduated from. But I recognize that parents need choices, and every child is different, and every decision for every child must be made by those parents in their education. I wonder if you could comment about what you believe the role of this committee should be and what we could do to preserve the parents' rights to guide the education of their children in this nation.
Well, I think redirecting the K-12 education system to prioritize academic instruction is a big role. That's what parents want. They want schools to focus on academic instruction. They want math and reading to be at the center of what the child is presented at the school. They want academics, not activism. And so there are numerous steps that you can take to do that. I think holding school districts accountable for what they did during the COVID era with closures that harmed children, and how they spent the emergency funding. Is it going to address learning loss? That's gonna meet the needs of parents. And then reinforcing existing federal laws, PPRA, FERPA, making sure that parents know what their rights are under existing federal law will be an important message that you can send from this committee.
And likewise, I would pose a similar question with respect to your advice to local school districts. As they seek to partner with parents to be at the center of educational decisions for their local school districts, what advice would you give to be good partners with the parents at that local level?
Well, the federal government did give them advice and said that parents needed to be consulted as part of the federal funding, and districts weren't even able to comply with that in many areas. So there just needs to be a reckoning with what's become of the relationship between school districts and parents. The parents going to the school board meetings and speaking up, that was very courageous in a time where things had become quite adversarial. It has not resulted in a change in that relationship. That school districts need to recognize that parental involvement is key to student success. If that district wants to achieve what it set out to do, which is educate children, it has to involve parents in a non-confrontational and inclusive way.
Switching gears one moment for a final question. You are not a medical doctor, but in your testimony you highlighted that the education establishment's embrace of so-called gender-affirming care is at odds with steps being taken in other countries to reduce or eliminate such interventions. Why are these practices so harmful, and why is American medicine so out of step with other countries' approaches in this regard?
Well, fortunately, the state of Florida, and specifically their Board of Medicine, has taken a look at the evidence. They've done a systematic review of evidence and concluded that what is called gender-affirming care is actually not helpful and in fact harmful to the often emotionally vulnerable youth who are drawn into this system. European nations are ahead of us in this process. Sweden's done a systematic review. The United Kingdom has as well. And the UK shut down their pediatric gender clinic as a result of the review, recognizing that it's harmful.
Thank you for your answers today, and thank you for your efforts on behalf of our children. I yield back.